This particular video is for you if you're an immigrant to the United States, regardless of your country of origin. If you have someone, a US citizen or a legal permanent resident, who sponsored you to be in the United States, but you know that you're going through hell at the hands of the person, you feel like you're being controlled, you're afraid of being deported, listen to the next few seconds or minutes. So this is the website, the official website of the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. Yeah, the people responsible for your immigration status in the country. Information on the legal rights available to immigrant victims of domestic violence in the United States, and facts about immigrating on a marriage-based visa. Fact sheet. So this applies to you if you came as a spouse, sometimes even if you came as a child or a parent or even a fiancé to a US citizen or to a legal permanent resident of the United States. If things begin to go south for you and this sponsor of yours becomes abusive, but you don't know what to do, you feel helpless, here's what the USCIS has to say about this. Immigrants are particularly vulnerable because many may not speak English, are often separated from family and friends, and may not understand the laws of the United States. For these reasons, immigrants are often afraid to report acts of domestic violence to the police or to seek other forms of assistance. Such fear causes many immigrants to remain in abusive relationships. So now that you have seen for yourself that the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, they understand that you and I, immigrants, could be abused at the hands of a US citizen or the legal permanent resident, whoever is your sponsor in the US. It's now left for you to stand up and fight for yourself. But the thing is, you don't have to be vocal. You don't even have to tell your abuser, the person you feel abused at his or her hands. It could even be your organization. But you can reach out to them. Here's the website you can reach out to. If you scroll down the same website all the way down, okay, not all the way down, I made a mistake. I think it's in number 3. Question number 3, here you go. So, what services are available to the victims of domestic violence and sexual assault in the United States? So you have this is the one I reached out to. You can reach out to National Domestic Violence Hotline. If you were raped or abused, you can reach out to the other ones. But I can tell you the one that I used was the first one, National Domestic Violence Hotline. And everything about you will be kept private. Okay, now that you know that you can reach out to these people, what is domestic violence? How would you know if you are being abused? Because most of us don't know that we're being abused. It's a culture we are used to back home. But here it's different because these are very abusive behaviors. Let's read from the same website to know what these domestic violence acts or abuses could be. So from the same website, I'm just going to go down to the first question. What is domestic violence? Domestic violence is a pattern of behavior when one intimate partner or spouse threatens or abuses the other partner. Abuse may include physical harm, forced sexual relations, emotional manipulation, including isolation or intimidation, and economic and or immigration-related threats. This is very common. It was common to me anyway. While most recorded incidents of domestic violence involve men abusing women or children, men can also be victims of domestic violence. So you don't have to be afraid if you're a man or a child. You can always report or if you're a parent to someone who invited you, can also report your sponsor without them knowing that you've done that. So it could also include sexual assault, child abuse, and other violent crimes. Sexual assault is any type of sexual activity that you do not agree to, even with your spouse, and can be committed by anyone. Child abuse includes physical abuse, any injury that does not happen by accident, including excessive punishment, physical neglect, failure to provide food, shelter, medical care or supervision, sexual abuse and emotional abuse, threats, withholding love, support, or guidance. So this tells you the different types of domestic abuse. So let me just quickly summarize it. There's financial or economic abuse, which is the situation where your sponsor begins to control your finances. Or let's say you don't even have access to the finances. The finances or money, they are used to control you. If you don't do something, then you don't get access to money. That's financial control. Another one is emotional or mental abuse, where the person is always talking down on you, making you think that you're useless, acting like you're being done a favor, that without them you wouldn't have been useful. That's emotional abuse. Another one should be physical abuse. Of course, we know what that is. If someone batters you or hits you, someone hits you, right? And then, of course, immigration-related threats. Those are also more like manipulation, emotional abuse, because like in my case, it was more like, go back to Nigeria, go back to Nigeria, go back to Nigeria. Now, the person understands, or these people, or these organizations understand that you've left your family and friends. Mentally, you're no longer in the same place. So you're threatened, you're weak, you're scared. This is someone you've trusted to take care of you. This is someone who swore an oath to United States Citizenship, Immigration, and Immigration Services. They swore an oath to their government that they're going to sponsor you and take care of you. But now turn around to make it look like they're doing you a favor, and then try to use that to control you, which is with power and control. That's also an abuse. Of course, there is sexual abuse as well. In as much as some of us think it's only about being forced to do what we don't want to do sexually, if you're married, sexual deprivation is actually also sexual abuse, because without sexual consummation, there's no marriage. So there are a lot of things and resources, but we don't know them because we're coming from countries that are not very vocal about these things. So the moment you realize, you check, do it stealthily. Do it with stealth. Do not expose yourself. Do not even confess. I understand Stockholm Syndrome. You feel pity for your abuser, which happened to me. I didn't want to report her because I didn't want it to affect her records. I didn't want it to affect, her, because it was going to go into her records or something, until she kept hurting and hurting and hurting, and then I just had to file against her. Here's one more thing. So from the same website again, question number 2. What are the legal rights for victims of domestic violence in the United States? So let's find out if we have rights. So it says, all people in the U.S., regardless of immigration or citizenship status, so even if you are illegal, you are guaranteed basic protections under both civil and criminal law. Laws governing families provide you with, number 1, the right to obtain a protection order for you and your children, the right to legal separation or divorce without the consent of your spouse. So if your spouse is abusing you and you're afraid, you don't know who's going to take care of you because, the person is your sponsor, you feel like you're tied down, or you have the legal right to file for divorce, and there are resources that will take care of you. And then the right to share certain marital property. In cases of divorce, the court will divide any property or financial assets you and your spouse have together. Then the right to ask for custody of your children. Now, for the other one, let's not feel guilty because you left your life and whatever you had to move. Like in my case, I contributed everything and the money. So I didn't seek these, but if you need this, let's say you are helpless and you need this kind of help, then it should be granted to you. Then the right to ask for custody of your children and financial support. Parents of children under the age of 21 often are required to pay child support for any child living with them. So, you can consult a family lawyer who works with immigrants to discuss how any of these family law options may affect or assist you. But then again, don't forget that under the U.S. law, any crime victim, regardless of immigration or citizenship status, can call the police for help or obtain a protection order. So dial 911 if you have to. Dial 911 once you're in danger. So the police may arrest your fiancé, spouse, partner, or another person if they believe that the person has committed a crime. You should tell the police about any abuse that has happened, even in the past, and show any injuries. Anyone, regardless of immigration or citizenship status, may report a crime. So like in my case, I was afraid. I spoke to my friends back home. They were like, they didn't even understand what I was talking about. I spoke to my family members. They were kind of divided in their opinions. So I was stuck because I was also raised as Christian. Stay in it. Try to fix it. I didn't want to become a divorcee. So I stayed in trying to fix. But the more I tried to fix it, the more my partner continued to abuse me. Now, abusers are not bad people. They are just people who are mentally and emotionally challenged. They have issues themselves. And if they don't recognize or realize that they are hurting you, there's nothing you can do. You can't force them to go for therapy. So in that state of mind, they are going to abuse you continuously. You can't make them go for therapy. So the best thing to do is to separate yourself from them. And then if you're helpless, like an immigrant like I was, find help. I just got lucky because there was no resources for me, nothing. My attempt to get them didn't work out for me. But the Catholic Church is there to help. Different charities are there to help. You can even get pro bono lawyers or this. So what do you do when you can't afford a lawyer? Because, I mean, people keep saying, what do you do? I don't know what to do. I'm lost. I will tell you what I did. So personally, I first of all tried to file through a lawyer, and a first Liberian lawyer I paid did not do what she was supposed to do from my hard-earned money. So I had to file on my own. So if you are a victim, if I'm a victim of domestic violence, sexual assault, or other crime, what immigration options are available to me? All right. There are 3 ways immigrants who become victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and some other specific crimes may apply for legal immigration status for themselves and their children. A victim's application is confidential, and no one, including an abuser, crime perpetrator, or family member, will be told that you applied. So that's the secrecy. They don't get to find out. Self-petitions for legal status under Violence Against Women's Act. Yes, it says Violence Against Women's Act, but I filed for it, although I'm a man. Cancellation of removal under VAWA. So you can be removed as soon as you file. You cannot be deported because you're protected by law not to be deported because you filed for self-petition based on domestic violence. Then you get your non-immigrant status crime victims or crime victims. So one other thing, okay, these immigration benefits each have specific requirements that must be established. Consult an immigration lawyer who works with victims of domestic violence to discuss how any of these immigration benefits may affect or assist you. So I understand that not everybody can afford a lawyer, but I've been able to help some people. I was able to afford the first lawyer from the money I saved. The lawyer, billed on me, didn't do anything. But because of the company I worked with, we had option to get free counsel from any lawyer. So I chose an immigration lawyer, and I had filed the documentation myself. Let me show you documentation. So there's abused spouses, children, and parents. Green card for VAWA, self-petitioner. Let me click on the second one. So abused spouses, children, and parents. You can file for VAWA. And this is what those who are eligible to file can, as a spouse, you can file. As a parent, you can file. As a child, you can file for VAWA. What are the requirements? I mean, you have a qualifying relationship as a spouse, or you're married to a U.S. citizen or to a legal permanent resident. Abuser, your marriage to the abuser was legally terminated by death. So even if a person dies or divorced, you can file for yourself. Your spouse lost or renounced citizenship or permanent resident status. So if the person's citizenship is revoked, you can still file for yourself. And you believe that you were legally married to your abusive citizen or permanent resident, but the marriage was not legitimately solely because of the bigamy of your abusive spouse. Let's say your spouse is married to somebody else. So there are so many other reasons. But what you can file for is the Violence Against Women's Act. You can also check it online. It's the Form I-360 petition for the different types. And then you're also eligible to public benefits. As soon as you file, you get a prima facie decision. Once they're able to decide, okay, we'll have all the documents that we need. Now let's determine if you're guilty. You're automatically protected from being deported, and then you can get benefits. I didn't use those benefits myself. I just worked eventually, because you would also get a work authorization. You can file for the work authorization at the same time, so you can start working. But your green card comes to you after your self-petition is approved. So yes, I filed myself. I just gave it to a lawyer to review, and the lawyer said I knew what I was doing. Some people have said things like, you must have joint accounts. My ex did not allow a joint account. Matter of fact, she wanted me to open a joint account with my own money, but refused to do with hers. So you don't need to have a joint account, provided that you can prove that you live in the same house. Even if they don't add your name to the lease, you can prove that you live in the same house. House address, maybe something you received, a mail you received, maybe your application letter to the address. And please, 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 keep a copy of your documents for yourself. And one more thing you need is proof that the person is a citizen or a legal permanent resident. So somehow you need a copy of their passport or green card. You have to find a way to do that, because I think I don't know what it's going to be if it's not there. But if you're lucky and you file through a lawyer, just go back to the same lawyer and express what's happening to you. But if you filed for your fiancé visa yourselves like we did, then you have to find a way to make sure you have a copy of those documents. Otherwise, you might be screwed. But another thing that an immigration lawyer told me was, you don't have to try so hard to prove that you were abused. These guys are professionals, they know. So if you don't have a joint account, it's even a sign of abuse. If you don't even have your name on the list, it also proves that the person is abusing you. So there are so many ways. Don't fret about it. File. If you have to file today, file. If you need to speak with an expert first on it, just reach out to National Domestic Violence Hotline secretly. Please do not do it to the hearing of your abuser. Find a way. If you use a laptop, clear the history. If you use your phone and you know they have access to your phone, wipe the history, because things might get ugly real fast for you and nobody will know your whereabouts. I hope it helps somebody out there. Peace out.